Off a bye, 49ers coming off Super Bowl rematch loss to the Chiefs, which saw Brock play some of the worst football of his career. Dak was asked to assess his play, and honestly, sounded a lot like Bruce analysis. Take a listen.
I'd say I've played average, and average isn't good enough right now by any means. I mean, it's never been good enough for me, so I can't say that I've been happy or excited after any of these games. I can just play better for sure, and expect to, preparing to. And it's been a great week of practice, looking to finish it off and go out there and do it.
Okay, here's the numbers for Dak's QB counterpart, bro. So, Dak said he was common.
Dak did say he was common.
He said he's played average.
Well, Bruce said he
average, common, it's the same thing.
Yeah.
So
I didn't write down
You need to ask Brew the question, or he's not going to answer.
Brew likes the question exactly.
Who
and
needs
I like to have the question.
I got you. I didn't know.
I'm a writer. I was big on transitions
I
and
just
all
kind of
that.
wanted you to talk the game.
But
But
then
I
you
know
got
what
the show has to flow. The show has to flow.
Brew, I know
You'll
what's
just
funny.
jump out of
Hey,
nowhere
Brew.
with a comment.
Who needs a big game more, Dak or Brock
I
Purdy?
had that down.
Good question.
Thanks, Brew.
Well, look, and we talked about this yesterday. You want to say Brock because he doesn't have the bag. And every time he plays poorly, especially if he stacks up some poor games, then people are going to start, oh, should they pay him 50, 60 million next year? All right, so there's that. But looking at this game, Dak has to have the bigger game for his team to win. Because, as we said, like, the Cowboys can't stop the run. San Francisco's very good at the run. They should be getting a lot of yards rushing the ball, which will open up what they love to do with Shanahan, the play action pass for Brock. But they can run the game, and if Brock is just efficient, doesn't turn it over, maybe has a touchdown or two, they can win. With Dak, he has to be the reason they win. Like, because they can't run the ball. So everybody knows that Dak's going to have a huge game throwing the football for them to win. Purdy can win with a solid game. Don't make a lot of turnovers, if any, but Dak doesn't have that luxury. So Dak has to have that.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think it has to be Dak because for whatever reason, the 49ers can lose this game and no one would feel like it's panic mode for the 49ers.
Oh, I disagree.
No, it would be
well,
panic.
it's like, once all their guys get back, then they'll be just fine. I don't tend to believe that, but that's what it feels like. For me, if Dak Prescott goes out there and continues to play average, which he has been, throw turnovers in the red area, which he's been doing this season consistently, they cannot win. They cannot win if Dak Prescott doesn't play well. He is their driving force.
Yep.
They have no one in the backfield that's being looked at or honored. CeeDee Lamb is their only true offensive weapon that you feel like is a threat. The only way he is a threat is if Dak Prescott can get him the ball. If that's not happening, you have no shot of winning because your defense isn't creating the turnovers that they once have. They're not getting after the quarterback the way they once did. All these things matter. And so if you can't do those things, Dak Prescott better put up a lot of points and better have some big numbers.
So I agree with you guys, but so I'm going to turn it just to agree. The way the teams are constructed and given the Niners, despite their injuries, they can run the ball. You know what I mean? They're always able to run the ball. And I know Jordan Mason's not Christian McCaffrey and Garindo's not Jordan Mason, but those two guys have done
Jordan's the second leading rusher in the league.
Exactly right. I think we all agree that for the Cowboys to score enough points to win this game, Dak has to be awesome. So, like, the Niners can win without Purdy being awesome. The Cowboys can't win in this matchup, given the injuries, without Dak being awesome. So we all agree it's more important Dak has a big game. What I also, though, think is true is if the question were which team needs their quarterback to have a clean game, the answer to that's the Niners.
Yes.
I think the Niners, if the Niners lose, it will be because Brock Purdy turns the ball over. Like I'm not. That's not me trying to trash Brock. No, what I'm saying is the numbers show you when he plays clean, they don't lose football games. And he also, for a guy who I know his first year, it was a lot of short stuff, screen passes. He's not even close to that guy anymore. He is pushing the ball down the field, and he's taking chances with the ball for good or for bad. Sometimes it's good. It creates these amazing Juwan Jennings plays, George Kittle plays. But his turnovers also can come in bunches. So there's 2 of these games this year. He had 1 pick and a lost fumble, but the lost fumble wasn't the tradition. You know what I mean? It was like almost could have been ruled an interception, but the ball came the way it came out. So against the Chiefs, he obviously had 3. So that's the concern for the Niners is Brock Purdy going to have another stretch of turnover-worthy plays, turnover-worthy games like he did around this time last year when he had those 3 really tough games in a row?
Okay. Well, it's time now for a segment so hot my grandmother we bottle the segment, and then I give a little bottle to my grandmother, and she uses it in her garden to kill weeds and her bad mood. It's upset alert. Greg? Oh, no, first we have to do the scoring.
Yeah, I mean, come on.
Sorry.
Do we?
Yeah, we do, especially KW.
I'm back.
Look at you, buddy.
Hey.
The Dallas Cowboys.
Cowboys at 49ers this weekend. San Francisco growing as a favorite after they heard our takes. This line now at 4.5. Cowboys off a bye. Here's Dak on what the Cowboys worked on this week. Take a listen.
For us, particularly on offense, communication and consistency. It's the best 2 ways to sum it up. Being consistent on the outside, the playmakers, us in the passing game, and then just communicating up front. If I can just tell you, being out there, it's a lot louder on the line of scrimmage. Guys are more confident. That allows the play to start with a whole better vibe and confident beginning.
Okay, Brew, who you got in this one?
Nick thought he was slick on the morning call. He said he predicted, Brew's going to take the Cowboys. He's been hinting at it all week. That's what he said. And I will be honest in that I have thought about that.
Really?
They're coming off a bye. San Francisco is banged up. Obviously, the Cowboys are too, but so are the Niners. And the Cowboys are desperate. However, the Niners are even more desperate. I'm going with San Francisco. I can't, Nick, unsee down 47-9 to the Lions. I can't unsee that, all right? And I get that those teams right now are playing far better than San Francisco. But still, though, going into each of those games, it was like the Cowboys got to prove something or they're desperate. Like, it's a huge game. They got to show up. Like, they weren't obviously quite as desperate as now just because we're a little later in the season, but those were huge games where it was like they got to show up, and they didn't. And even, you know who's more desperate than Dallas, Nick? The Niners. They'll drop to 3-5. We've talked about their schedule all week. It's going to be hellacious, and so they need a win. And then on top of that, strategically, the Cowboys just have trouble stopping the run, particularly against teams that can really run. And San Francisco's a top 10, top 5 run team, and Dallas is a bottom 5 run defense team. So I think Jordan Mason has a big game. They are able to run the ball, and then that opens up the play action for Purdy, and the Niners win. What will probably be a good game, but I think the Niners
So
win.
I thought there was a chance Brew would pick the Cowboys, but more what I thought was all week, Brew was really trying to prime the audience. Like, hey, man, the Niners are in so banged up and in such rough shape that, you know, if they lose, you can't blame anyone in these spots. Sometimes the team, like, it really felt like it was pre-excuses for the San Francisco 49ers. Here's what I'll tell you. If Micah plays, I think the Cowboys win, but I don't think Micah's going to play.
No, there was a video of him walking okay, I guess.
I mean, he hasn't been ruled out. The Cowboys, so Micah's their best player. Their second best player also hasn't practiced this week, but that's because he's at jury duty, and I got to tell you, I don't like it.
He's just a kicker.
Weirdest story.
I understand he's just the kicker. It doesn't, to me, bode well for a lot of things. And I understand do your civic duty. I get that. I understand this is probably a maybe illegal take, but certainly an unpopular one. I feel like that's not great. And I do worry about Nicky Bosa against the Cowboys rookie left tackle if they line him up over there. I know he normally lines up on the other side, but if they move him around. And the other thing is this. I don't know how much applies to the Cowboys in this spot because they had the bye, but every single team that has played the Lions has lost their next game. The Lions, and that continued last night. When you played the Lions beat you twice really this year. Now the Cowboys had a bye week, so how much is that going to impact it? So all these things say the Niners win the football game. Why?
I didn't hear one thing. I believe in Brock Purdy.
I didn't hear that from
hear
him.
that.
You must believe in Brock Purdy.
You have
Why?
to.
You picking
Why?
him to